You're listening to Saturday Morning Media. And now, back to our show. I think it was probably around Easter, or possibly the 4th of July. I say this because I remember that my dad was with us, and though I spent many a summer with my grandparents in Klamath Falls, Oregon, my parents usually didn't stay for any length of time unless it was around a holiday. And when this story happened, there wasn't any snow on the ground, so it was probably around Easter, or 4th of July. Well, one day, my grandfather, Grandpa Jim, announced that evening we were going to go mullet hunting. Now, I'd never heard the word mullet before, so I wasn't confusing it with a business in the front, party in the back hairstyle. Mullet, I found out, were the local name for a type of fish now referred to as the Lost River suckerfish. I'm not sure that's much of an improvement name-wise. But anyway, that evening as we were preparing to leave, my grandfather put a long bamboo pole into the back of his big four-wheel pickup truck. Asking him what it was for, he showed me that the end of the pole had a green metal three-prong spear. He explained that you hunt mullet by spearing them, not with a regular fishing pole. My dad, brother, and I hopped into the front seat of the pickup truck with my grandfather, and we pulled out towards Klamath Lake, with my Uncle Bill and cousins Brian and Brent following in Bill's pickup behind us. We arrived at the lakeshore about 20 minutes or so later. As we piled out of the truck, I heard my grandfather, now standing at the tailgate, say loudly, "Shit." At some point during the journey, the spear had flown out of the back of the pickup truck. We figured that the trip was now over, but my grandfather said, "I promised my grandkids they'd see some mullet, and they're gonna see some mullet." And he tromped off through the bushes towards the lake. He walked around the edge of the lake for a bit, shining the flashlight into the black waters until he found a spot that was to his liking. He had one of us hold the flashlight, and then he stepped out onto some rocks. I know it's a little cliche to say, but a hush fell over the six of us watching. My grandfather balanced expertly between two rocks as he peered down into the water, the flashlight illuminating long, black shapes of fish swimming idly under the surface. Like a bear, my grandfather plunged his hands into the water and came up holding a mullet by his tail, with his bare hands. Mullet, or Lost River suckers, can live for over 30 years and can grow over a yard in length. Now, I'm sure the passage of time has embellished how big this fish he pulled out of the river was, but it had to have been close to that 3 feet mark, if anything. The fish thrashed wildly, trying to get away, and with a big swing, my grandfather hurled the writhing fish up onto the shore, where it landed with an audible thud at our feet. Well, our mouths hung open as we saw the size of this fish now squirming in the grass in front of us. Our mouths continued to hang open as we watched this giant fish work its way back down to the bank and into the water and swim away. A beat after it disappeared under the water's surface, we all looked over to my grandfather. "Why didn't any of you grab it?" Our only honest response was simply, "You caught that with your hands." Well, Grandpa Jim tried a few more times to catch another, but he didn't have the same luck as that first try. After about an hour of attempts, we piled back into the trucks to head home. My Uncle Bill joked as we left that we should keep our eyes peeled for a car with a bamboo spear sticking out of the hood. You know, we never went mullet hunting again after that, but I think that one time was just enough. Reading about the mullet or Lost River sucker for this story, I see that they are now a protected species. I'll link to more info about them in the show notes for this episode. This episode of the GrantCast is copyright 2020 Saturday Morning Media, Baciocco executive producer, all rights reserved. www.saturdaymorningmedia.com. You've been listening to Saturday Morning Media. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.